Hump, essentially, because they placed top 2 in 2 different weeks. However, it has been since week 4 that they have even been in a grand final. So this could be a big round for them, like you mentioned, and it's going to be versus a very talented team like Dtrix and Rush. These guys had a very difficult run last week, taking down Robert Morris University. They later went on to take down a very well-known team in the Sunday Showdown known as Voxy and Sea Dark. They took down Pon and FH, who were the defending champions of that particular tournament, and then later went on to take down the very aggressive Tendons and Sean Claude. So this is a team that you do not want to mess with. Granted, how are they going to perform when it comes down to this new format of the glider redeploy no longer being in the game? That remains to be seen, but a lot on the line for both these squads. A lot of proving to be witnessed here.
Well, we talked a little bit about the glider redeploy and it affecting landing spots. We're seeing this is the second game already tonight where we're seeing Shifty. Shifty apparently is the area to go to once again. It was very popular before that, and now it's becoming popular once again. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work out. It worked out very well for Ninja and Nick A30. Dtrix and Rush go into a spot that was kind of always uniformly popular throughout, whether it be glider redeploy or off. They're inside of Dusty Divots. Good loot, as well as the opportunity to kind of rotate in a couple different directions, whether you want to go retail, maybe even up to Dusty Diner if you know there's players up there.
Right.
And then, of course, you can go over towards Salty. So different strategies, different styles. It's going to be all about those rotations. But I've got to say, after watching Ninja and Nick A30, I'm kind of favoring the Shifty drop a little bit more, kind of going back to my original drop zone, just because of the rotations. Greasy, tilted, maybe even Salty if you kind of want to go over that way.
Yeah, and along with the kind of passive start, you also have the ability to freely grab resources, which I think is so important when it comes into Shifty Shafts. Of course, just as I mentioned the freedom that you have in Shifty, there enters in a random group of 4, depending on their skill, probably is based off their skin choice. Rather unfortunate loss. It didn't really seem like they sort of even a chance when it comes down to the OpTic boys, but regardless, they'll be able to take down this squad pretty easily. And like I said, though, kind of getting back on the discussion, I feel like those resources that they gain are so important, and you get to do it in the free and open space. That's so nice to have when you're moving forward through future fights.
And another thing to think about as well is when you think about public play, a lot of players aren't typically hot dropping Shifty, and typically the competition you're going to have there is a lot softer than, let's say, people who are dropping tilted or people who are wanting to get into the fights and love getting those high elimination games, maybe dropping directly into Salty. So the competition's a lot looser, and because of that, like you said, you come and get a couple of eliminations, get looted up, and you know you're going to be fairly okay for the rotation out. Meanwhile, we're going to see how this strategy is going to work out for our previous champs of Dtrix and Rush, already in an engagement just outside of Granny's house. And of course, there's going to be a little bit more pushing in. Inventory looking a little bit dry, but not too bad. Got some minis, has a med kit as well. See if they can make it work.
And I'm excited to finally see these guys play, because last week we only got to watch them play in the grand finals. So that's not really a whole lot of information that we were able to gain, especially for the competition as well. They are still a team that can pull out a few things that aren't going to be typical for the squads you're going to be facing off against. As the only thing that we know is that they are very, very talented when it comes down to getting those eliminations, which, of course, is the name of the game. They finished off with 25 elims in Game 1 of the Grand Finals last week, and that really put on a lot of pressure for Tendons and Co.
And it ended very quickly.
Yeah, they fell within the very first few minutes, I believe, of actually landing exactly inside of Salty Spring, if my mind serves me correct. So interesting that they happen to be back at this particular spot, but regardless, like I said, this team can put up quite a few elims. They don't mind getting aggressive, but they seem to be a very smart team when it comes down to when to aggress and when to not.
Drama's rotating from Shifty to Greasy. Did find a couple of people there and getting even some more loot. Luckily, they do have the Porter Rift, so they'll be able to use that. I'm looking at a launch pad in the inventory of Rush, so teams having quite a bit of push, at least to different rotations, depending on where they want to go. But overall, it's going to be fairly quiet now as the teams have won their rotations. Now the question is, whether they actually, I guess there's going to be one more or a couple more players who were just hiding in the basement of this bunker house. And
this guy has no idea what's going on.
No, absolutely not. And you see there's going to be a player pushing just to the right of him.
He's like, what was that noise?
Yeah, look.
What was that noise going out there?
Tell you, that team did not put up quite a fight, I guess, that they wanted to see, but that spells good news for our boys of Dtrix and Rush. We got a nice game going on here. Actually, I think it's just about dead even.
And I got to say, one thing that I think that Dtrix and Rush really specialize in is their pace and their rotations. And that has been the biggest issue for the OpTic side in our Sunday Showdown tournaments is when do they rotate? Are they playing too fast? Are they playing too slow? trying to lock down that pace is so difficult, especially with the glider redeploy system being involved. Now that that totally changes up, does that help OpTic's chances, or does that progression that they made with the glider redeploy system being in kind of start them back at square one? There's a lot of questions to be asking right now for OG. Thankfully, due to having that passive start, they still get to see quite a few players, right? They walk into 7 enemies and they take them down pretty much with flying colors essentially in that particular play. Now we see them make a much different rush. They're going to be at least playing outskirts of Tilted. So whether or not this is a good call remains to be seen. However, this is where we start to ask: Can they play aggressive, and can they contend?
Nice shot.
As a nice snipe comes through from Marz, 91 meters.
Man, that was a beautiful snipe. Going back to your original point, I had a chance to interview Marz, and one of the things that he kind of said was, we love our hot traps. We kind of love getting into the action. We're very confident in our play style, but for them to slow it down shows, hey, maybe we are seeing a kind of a development, and that's what I like to see, especially coming over the weeks of the Legion Sunday Showdown. Now week number 9, we're seeing these players change it up, but Dramas, he's going to get dropped. Now, he gets fully eliminated. I was about to bring up a point. With the new update, the knockdown time went from a total of 50 seconds to 60 seconds, so I thought there was going to be more time.
Take it. Yep, I was going to say, Marz, you need to take it. You are surrounded, and you will have no way to get out unless you take that rift to go. And I think that totally changes the tide of this game. That player doesn't use that. Marz probably finds that elim, but yet he's surrounded by all kinds of different angles. Players playing outskirts. It would not have been easy for him to try and survive. And thankfully, on his departure toward the Leaky Lakes, it looks as if he's going to find a rogue player just kind of chilling out toward the beach.
Yeah.
His unfortunate vacation coming to a close. But his teammates could be nearby, so there still are a few players probably remaining around the area for Marz in this situation.
I want to point out, you notice he's rocking a sniper as well as a deagle. Deagles have become increasingly more popular, especially with the new update, of course, being the fact that it destroys walls with basically one shot, at least wooden walls at that, so you can just constantly berate the walls down, especially if you have a teammate maybe looking to snipe as Marz trying to, oh my goodness, Marz is heating up with that sniper, gets yet another knock down below. Maybe dropping down for the full elim. Yes, he is. He needs some mats. He also maybe needs some potential resources. These players are very spread apart. I have no idea where they're going to be at. Does he go for the balloons to get more mobility? No, he doesn't.
Did they get in a fight before this game started and they just decided to separate?
Maybe they're doing the tournament on their own. They're like, hey, we split up 2v2. You're going to go here. You're going to go here. Hey, I love to do it, but
the four-corner strategy that we that one YouTube video that
exactly.
Dr. Lupo, Ninja, and Courage all used, that was great.
And it just so happened to be the game where we're running a tournament, so not a good time to do it.
Not at all. Hey. Well, let's get back to the point, right? As we do see or have on screen right now with Dtrix and Rush, we were discussing, is it a good call for them to rush inside Tilted Towers despite only being down 2 elims in this game? I wasn't a big fan of it. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit worried when they initially made that contact. And that's what happens, right? Dramas and Co., they rush in there, but they weren't together. Yeah. And that's the thing that is always very difficult of rushing in toward Tilted Towers. It's difficult enough being in 1v4, 2v4 squad games. But inside of Tilted Towers, where there are multiple different ledges, multiple different heights that can go through, where you can be shot from above, you never really have high ground inside Tilted Towers unless you're up in the very tallest of towers in that situation. So I feel like for them to go there was already risky enough, but for them to separate, I feel like was a very awkward and unfortunate situation that doesn't pay off.
And I've kind of talked about it throughout really our events, is that Tilted rewards players who can't build because of the buildings that are currently there. They can just snipe out of a window, get a couple of eliminations. So with that being said, with these advanced players, you kind of want to be out in the open so you can use your building abilities. Great use of the trap. That's going to be at least a knockdown below. We'll see if this player can bust through, but this engagement is going quickly. And am I seeing 3 people in the same spots? Yep, Marz is there too, so he's joined Rush and Dtrix just to kind of maybe monitor the eliminations that are going down. Still 15 engagements remaining, Landon, and that's not a bad strategy.
I was going to say Marz decides to go take the quad crasher. Dtrix thought about joining alongside of him, but in that situation, Marz kind of high-fives him and says, hey, what's going on, guys? Acting like he's a teammate and decides to go ahead and steal the loot that comes from it, at least the quad crash in that situation.
And they also do have a porter rift as well.
They do. So that's nice. It would be hilarious if they actually decided to skydive and somehow land in midair on Marz's quad crasher. That'd be
just messing with them, right? Just get the mental games going. Or use it unintended. Well, I guess, I don't know, maybe pick them up in the air, but I don't think you could do that. A lot of interesting things that can happen.
All
but
things
look,
that probably aren't a good idea, but just stuff that we'd love to see, probably.
We always love to see,
okay.
you know, a lot of craziness go down. Porter Rift seeming to get that high ground, definitely working out. They spot some players rotating out of Risky.
Oh, this is a party going on.
It definitely is. And you notice the positioning between Dtrix and Rush. Rush is going to be all up in the mix. Dtrix just hanging back, trying to lay down some shots. Unfortunately, there's going to be some rockets coming in. He's got to be aware of that. This player just chilling out as player is still up. There he goes. Finally, he's going to go down. I was like, man, does he have more than 200 health? As the player has been knocked, but course he's going to make quick work and takes him out, and he's going to be able to revive his teammate to kind of push forward the victory route towards the end.
Yeah, a little bit of a scary situation for Dtrix, and look who's joined the party. There's Marz, right on that quad crasher. Finally makes the journey here. Probably going to try his best to steal some of that loot, maybe even steal a few of the meds, right? Trying to make the live of the opposing team even harder, but decides to go ahead and leave the med kit and give them some sort of a chance. But that's one thing to keep in mind, right, for Marz, needing to try to find these elims, needing to see the same opportunities as the opposing team, and having things like the deagle, or even if he could have or find a sniper rifle, a hunting rifle off the ground would be very important, because it's really about peaks. That ending shot is so important for these 1v2 players to have in certain situations such as this. So with him kind of going on his own run, what he's trying to do is use that quad crasher to having the advantage of seeing players first. And granted, it hasn't worked out the best, but it could definitely pay dividends here, as he has spotted the team early. But it looks as if Dtrix has already propelled himself up to the fight initially. I think he might have even had a grappler to help him get up there.
Yeah, not a bad thing being all up in the mix at this point. Does get pinched, though, from both sides. Trap down below is going to pick up the knock. Might save him for just a little bit. His teammate is going to be moving in, or excuse me, that's Marz just up above him.
Does Rush immediately go for the res? Or
I don't think so. You know, with this many or these little engagements still remaining, I think you go for the eliminations on this team, especially if Marz is pursuing it. But Rush is nowhere to be found at this point, as the RPG is going to be out. Actually, Rush, there he goes. He is going to get a knock. In fact, as Marz trying to spot this player. Gets him from the back, unfortunately, right out of ammunition. Oh, doesn't connect the shot. And that's the bloom that I was kind of talking about whenever it comes to these heavy assault rifles. It can be really so-so, but 37 health. Now at this point, he's going to have to relax a little bit and get some minis. Dtrix still up, like I said, 60 seconds for that knock time now instead of 50. He is, in fact, going to get rezzed. And they're going to continue that push for the last couple of eliminations. But Marz, not going down without a fight. He knows he's got to get rid of this this turret that's just up ahead. That player's one shot. He's down to just about 10 health. He knows he's got to go for the push at this point. If he just breathes on him, he's going to go down. Player down below, great edit, and there it is. He's finally going to get the elimination. That's going to put him at 9.
Caught the cankles.
That took a lot of work, Landon.
That did. That was that was very stressful, I'd imagine, for Marz in that situation. And as long as that particular fight took, Dtrix just a few shots out of the scar and already evens things up out of that particular fight. But looking toward the northern side of Junk, it looks as if they are going to spot, or rather crates, but does spawn a few enemies. And the question remains, how many players are here at this point? Is there a full team? Because there are 3 players technically still in this game. Is that a 2v1? Is that a 3v2? Questions to be asking myself, but it looks as if there is going to be one player thirsted. You hear the communication coming through from Dtrix and Co. And on the opposite end, it looks as if Marz might have spotted someone in a box or just wants to show off his building skills. Probably the first of the 2, but has that rocket launcher ready to go.
Just down below him. Player, though, is, in fact, going to build up. RPG is going to come out. That's going to bring him straight to the ground, back to reality. But still not making any pushes towards him. He knows he's a little bit low on health. 66 total. So he's still going to try and build up just a little bit. I couldn't tell if that was his ramp. No, that's going to be the opponent's ramp, as we got a nice little build battle. But luckily, he's got him in the edit. But unfortunately, he's going to miss the shot as he's going to continue to push up here. And there it is. So the victory route comes in. And I believe the score is quite close. Dtrix sitting at 12, or excuse me, 9 and 12. So 21-12 is going to be the score. Not too bad. Not too bad.
It's not terrible, especially being in a 2v1 situation throughout. I don't want to say most, but
it's not 24-8.
It's not.
So,
but it's not far off either. So it is going to be a little bit of an easier situation. But I think with that somewhat of an established lead, I think we do need to see more aggressiveness being shown from the OG side especially. But that's the thing, right? They struggle. They go from Salty Springs, or excuse me, they go toward Tilted Towers, and it doesn't work out for them. That's the thing that really worries me about this particular team, is that with the with the deficit that they have, they almost have to play out of their comfort zone, and that's where we haven't seen them succeed. And that's been the main issue for them has been those close quarter fights where you have a lot of builds going down, and that they're just not able to see a whole lot of success from that. I think when it comes down to being a pro Fortnite player, it is much different than this format, right? Because this is solely based off finding elims, knowing where players like, or the public player likes to go. When it comes to other tournaments, it's about staying alive, right? It's about staying alive, finding elims during certain, moments throughout the game, especially as the format starts to kind of, change up for different, pro style tournaments. But it is about staying alive, seeing that Victory Royale pop up on your screen.
Sure.
Much different, right? Dramas and Marz are known about how they know how to stay alive, but finding those elims, especially in a situation like this, is not going to be easy at all. And will they be visiting that exact same TV? I don't know. I don't know.
We'll have to see.
The question is, should they? Do you think they should go toward a very high-profile place like this, get out of their comfort zone, or do you think they should play their own game? I really don't know how to answer this, to be honest.
Well, speaking of, like I said, in the beginning, at least, of these tournaments, the OpTic boys were known for their hot drops, and that's where they love to go.
Yeah.
And is it outside of their comfort zone? Not so much. I think they go straight for the hot drop. That's where they're comfortable. That's where they know to go.
I should say out of my comfort zone.
Well, out of our comfort zone, I would definitely say. I love hot dropping myself, but it doesn't work out. Not all the time. It's a very risky play, and it could be the same here.
What's an exact percentage you think for your gameplay?
Oh, geez, I don't know. You got to go to Fortnite stats for that one, but whenever it comes to it.
Is it in single digits, or have you made it double digits?
I tell you what, Drama and Marz go into retail. That's not my spot. So that's single digits.
Okay.
When it comes there.
I think that's single digits for any player in our Sunday Showdown tournaments.
Oh, like, and he goes up top of the water tower, too.
For whatever reason, Retail Row is almost like Tilted Towers on steroids. Like, I don't know what it is, but players don't survive here.
It's just so many different angles.
There are.
And that's the thing about it, why I don't personally. There's a turret already here. This is
oh no!
I'm getting flashbacks of the Tim the Tapman clip.
Oh,
whenever they were in tilted. Nobody gets down. 4 health total. He's got to back up. He's going around. And no, the turret. He's got to dodge a turret. He gets yet another knock. His teammate right over to the corner, getting the 20 pickaxe damage. Of course, they just bumped that from 10.
Marz just crossed those players over so hard. That was amazing. What a play coming through from Marz. However, this does not end here. If anything, the fight now begins as an aid actually gets tossed out, hits him in the side. Thankfully, will stay alive and not take any damage from that. But he is on 4 HP. I would almost probably drop myself so my teammate could res me to get back up to 30. But I don't know, man. That was a crazy situation off the start. But props for having a level head in that situation for Marz. That was a highlight and a half.
I agree 100%. I mean, that turret right in your face. And I had a moment like that actually happen when I was in Tilted. I went to go push this player so confidently, mind you, thinking like, all right, I'm just gonna pop into this room. Door was shut. I'm just gonna get maybe the chest that's over in the corner because he left the chest. And open the door, get prone blocked because there's a turret literally sitting right in front of the door. And I freak out. I don't know what to do. And the turret just starts raining shots at me. And, definitely.
What happened after that? Did you?
Oh, I'm down.
Okay.
I'm down and I'm fully
get
eliminated.
Right.
Just like potentially Marz might be. Total of 19 health. He can't catch a break.
Oh, he's up to 19, though?
Yeah, but better than 4 than he was earlier, right?
True.
But he did get melted just a little bit. He's going to get dropped. Not fully eliminated at this point, but I think there's a turret. There is a turret shooting directly at him. And
Multiple
now Drama is going to be in a very awkward position. He's going to be left up to his own devices. And, of course, they came into this game with a deficit already of 21-12, forced him to hot drop retail. And at this point, it is looking like the odds are stacked against them.
And I want to know, if we could pop back up to the quad feed really quickly, how many elims have Dtrix and Rush seen so far throughout this game? Because is this actually very scary? Okay, so they found 3. They're seeing quite a few more players at Salty Springs. So, yeah, this is a very difficult situation for Dramas. I just wanted to kind of set the stage to say, is the game now even?
Right.
Like, how is Drama? Like, what's his mindset coming into these future fights? Does he need to play passive, or does he need to continue to play aggressive? And well, we'll let this kind of do the talking for you. He definitely needs to play a lot more aggressive because this team is seeing countless enemies inside of Salty Springs, and they don't plan on ending that aggressiveness anytime soon. So with that, we'll see what Dramas can try to pull off here. As I think in his situation, he's really betting on obviously seeing some good performances as far as trying to find players out, trying to find 1v1 engagements, but he's also banking on the fact that hopefully Dtrix and Rush, one of them, will somehow fall early.
That's
And you can't bank on something that you
can't
decide yourself.
No, you can't. You really can't, and it's going to be tough. Porta Fortress straight up ahead. He sees it dropped, and he knows he's got to go for the push. Maybe come in for a 3P, and that's obviously the optimal situation, especially if your partner's already dropped. You want to come in and try to get as many eliminations as possible. I do believe that player who just hopped off the bounce pad has spotted him. He might get pinched, or he's got to be careful in this current situation. Gets that high ground, double barrel in hand. We know how powerful it can be, but also very inconsistent. But consistent in his hands, he's going to get a knock.
That player's name was Muscle Hamster, by the way. I just wanted to point that out.
I got to say, I respect that. I didn't notice that, but Muscle Hamster is a beast of a name.
That is. Not a beast of a player, at least in that particular fight.
No.
But hey, you get a gamer tag like that. I don't know if I'd ever fight you, but nice play coming through. Another one found. Dramas laying the hammer down. Oh, and another player enters in toward his line side, and he could make it another as well. This would be unhuman-like. Dramas, make it happen, buddy.
That double barrel is so consistent.
Woo!
See, you know, it never works for me like that, Landon. I'm just going to say it, and I hate to make it about me, but it never works for me like that. I try so hard, and I never get any far.
Never get any. I knew you were trying to do the lyrics.
I was trying so bad, but it didn't work. It didn't work at all.
It didn't really work.
In the end, it didn't really matter.
It didn't, not at all.
That's okay, though.
Dtrix and Rush, though, much like we're on a journey, just trying to segue out of this, they are making their way toward Leaky Lake, trying to get a little bit of an idea, maybe trying to play that gatekeeper-type role that BRs are heavily known for having, because they have quite a few players that have been coming from that northern region of Lazy Links, Pleasant Park, etc. Could see a few opponents from that particular point. However, not going to be the case, as they're going to go ahead and survey the area. And unfortunately for them, not in a fight. But that's the thing, right? We talk about Dramas. He really needs for situations like this to happen. He needed those 4 players to rush him individually and hope that the opposing team, Dtrix and Rush, wouldn't be having any players run to their line side. So while it is good for now, the unfortunate thing for him is that he has the opposing team have a quad crasher, and they can make their way throughout the entirety of this map. So maybe Drama needs to pull a Grand Theft Auto, take that quad crasher right out from under him.
I don't know if you kind of took a look at the stats there on the bottom of Dtrix's screen. 25% win rate today. Not too bad. He's been very solid. 5.5 KD. Not too bad either.
That.
26-21, a lot closer than the beginning of this game we saw. They came in 21-12. Now to bring it just within 5 eliminations, not too bad. There's still plenty of engagements remaining at a total of 31. And it looks as though we're going to see Dramas get in a couple more himself. Fortunately, whiffs that shot, but that's going to be okay. Still maintaining that high ground. Great edit to get down below him, but unfortunately only hits for 8 damage, and that's always frustrating to see.
That player's like, where did that just come from? I just get bit by something? What was that?
Was that a red ant? What was that?
That 8 damage that just affected me. What was that? Oh, a lot of damage, though, affected for Dramas.
Tough situation.
Definitely an awkward spot. Rush, however, falls. And now, now for Dramas, he's going to realize that and say, hey, I need to play my life a lot more in this spot. I think it was a 5 elim deficit coming into this particular fight. So with that in mind, trying to find the flank, it looks like he could have the opportunity. Builds being placed down. And unfortunately for Dramas, he will get dropped.
Yep.
And just like that, OpTic Gaming will see another early exit in the Sunday Showdown. Top 8 for them, and our defending champions will live to see another round. Yep.